Welcome to the Life with Joey Cavo podcast. I'm Joey Cavo. Today, a friend posted on my Facebook page words that really mean a lot. And I try to express that in so many ways myself, but sometimes people don't look at it that way. The words, I love you, period. Now, usually I just turn around and say, no matter what, I love you. But hearing it this way brought so much more. So much more. So I do want to thank my friend Sherry for putting that post up, because I've done a podcast before about words itself and how much they really mean. But to see I love you, period, makes it much more different than just plain I love you. And it just, in my opinion, I love you, period, is actually much better than just plain I love you. Because you're putting more unconditional love into I love you, period, than just I love you. Everybody says I love you is just, it's unconditional. I don't think it is. Does it mean I love you for a moment? Does it mean I love you for a second? But I love you, period. Of course that would happen. Sorry about that. But I love you, period. That means a lot more. That's a lot more. A lot more. I love you, period, is more unconditional. And it lets the person know that you really love them more than just for a second or a minute. You'll love them for the rest of your life. And I know in my heart that I'm loved. I know it. I do. But there are times when, and I've brought this up too, about naysayers, quote unquote. When they put words in your mouth, or try to put words in your mouth, and try to, they say, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this, 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 and this. You keep saying you want to do this, this, and this. Well, yeah, I want to do this, this, and this. But here's what's going on. And not many people see the reality of this, this, and this. Yeah, if I post on the Life with Joey Calvo Facebook page or on the lifewithjoeycalvo.blog website about a trip to Vegas, that's something I want to do. And I wanted to share it with you, the fans and listeners and watchers. But if someone turns around and you say, oh, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do this, I'm going down to Atlantic City for a weekend, and you get those people that say, no, you should be putting your money aside if you want to move out. Well, here's the thing. I can't move out right away. Because one, there's not a place available right now that I can move to. Okay? Yeah, I should put money to the side. Yeah. But right now, in my own personal life, when it comes to affordable housing, okay, and I'm not the richest person in the world. I live paycheck to paycheck like most people do. Okay? But I'm on waiting lists that are at least 1 to 2 years long. Sometimes as much as 5 to 10. So if I'm lucky to get into something within a year, okay. Then I could always try to get some extra help to help me move in and then go from there. But right now, I can't. I really can't. Because there's nothing available right now. Believe me, I've been looking. Okay? I mean, Philadelphia's getting very bad. But when you hear those words, you should. And they say, oh, we're just advising. That doesn't sound like advice to me. That's telling me what to do. That's telling me. That's not, you could be doing this. Not you should. You could be. Two different versions. So if you say you should, it's like you're telling them what to do. If you're saying you could, then that's a suggestion. That's more different than you should. Okay? And these people know what I'm talking about if they watch the video or listen to the podcast. You should do this. You should be putting money away. Well, if I should, then I'm the one it should be. Don't tell me what to do. You only live once, folks. You only live once. And like I said, words mean a whole lot. And society has changed since growing up. Okay? Things are a lot different now than they were back in the 80s and 90s. Like, back then, you didn't know any better. Okay, maybe right now you still don't know any better. So you still experiment. That's part of life, is the experiments and journeys. But when people say you should, and then like, oh, we're just advising you. You're not advising me. You're telling me what to do. And I've always said, words make a difference in how you put it. Now, like I said, with my classmate that posted, I love you should be more of I love you, period. I applaud her. I applaud her for posting that because it makes a lot of sense. You really, when you want to say stuff, people will say that I talk in circles. Well, maybe because I'm trying to find the right words to say and trying to put it in the right position to tell how I feel. I told my friends and family on my personal Facebook, period. I said, no matter what, I love you, period. And that's even the ones that, when I was little, they picked on me and put me down and, made me feel like dirt. And I forgave them. I let it go. Because I got tired of holding grudges. Well, that actually changed recently. Any grudges I do are at me. But I have my own reasons for grudges at myself. And everybody's, oh, you're a great guy. And yeah, I could be a great guy. To you. But not to me. If I call this podcast a success to me, okay. Do I? Yeah, I could say that. I could say this has been a success so far. But trying to make it do more is a challenge. And I mean, I'm reaching out to celebrities left and right. Today, like early this morning, I don't know how many of you in the 90s watched the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Well, there was the Pink Ranger. Her name was Kimberly. She was played by Amy Jo Johnson. Well, I came across something. It had her in it, and I went and Googled her, and I went to her website and actually emailed her and said, listen, I'd like to have you on my podcast. It hasn't gotten back yet, but I made the attempt to. Now, I will say that I've reached out to Kathy Ireland and her people, and they actually got back to me, and we're working on that. Now, I definitely will say on September the 15th, which is 2 weeks from Wednesday, I'm going to have another money life coach on named Melissa Martin. And she's got a new program that she's going to promote. But I reached out to her. And originally she said, yeah, she's been wanting to come on. It's just, we just had the issue of contact-wise. So it finally went through and we got it all set. So that's great. And when I go to explain the podcast, I explain in the best words possible. Yes, this podcast has had more than 1,500 downloads. This podcast may not have a lot of listeners. But I also explain in words what mainly this podcast does. Is we chat about the person that comes on. Yeah. Now, when I had Dina on a couple weeks ago, I said something that people actually came back to me and said, I made it feel like I scared her and made her uncomfortable. And I literally reached out and apologized. But she turned around and said, you're fine. I might have gotten a little carried away. And words can do that. And especially when you've gotten to know them and you're expressing how wonderful they are and all that. But when someone turns around and says, hey, you made that person feel very uncomfortable, you think it doesn't hit me? Hell yeah. You think I don't get mad at me for it? Hell yeah. I do. I am very hard on me. I will state that. Left, right, every which direction. I am my own worst enemy. I have known that for 50 years. 40, sorry, scratch that. I'm 50 now. So 42 years that I've been my own worst enemy. So words mean a lot when you say them. Words mean a whole lot. Good, bad, or otherwise. It's how you present it. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, my neighbors where I live were literally complaining loud enough that I can hear them while I'm working. I had to step out of my work for a minute to literally go out there and say, lower it. Now, I turned around to the person that actually said something. And as I came back into the room after I said it, the person, one of them said, you're not a part of my life. And I turned around as I was working. I'm like, I'm not a part of your life. But I turned around later on and confronted that person. And I said, listen, this is what you said to me in front of me, in a way. And I said, literally, you come to me when you need help on things. And he turned around and he apologized to me. And he explained what he thinks happened. And I think the same thing. I thought the same thing too. And I let it go. Because I got the words, I'm sorry. But one of them drinks. Literally, drinks. That person did try to quit. I will state that. Because he was trying to improve. It didn't work. It doesn't last. So yeah, it would take me into addictions now too. And everybody would say, oh, you're always at the casinos. And well, here's the thing with me. There's a lot I can't do because of things that happened in my past. So going to a casino somewhat alleviates one end of it, but yes, it starts another. But I try my hardest not to go so much. Again, comes back to words. What people don't know is, and I'm stating this because I can't hold things back anymore. If I ask friends to come down, say in Atlantic City, oh, it could almost sound like I'm sounding like a cry for help or being desperate. But the real fact is, and I just went down there this past Sunday, had a beautiful room. And I asked somebody to come down, and they couldn't come down. You think I wasn't upset? Yeah. Because I really didn't want to go into the casinos. I really wanted to hang out with someone and walk the boardwalk or sit on the beach or, hang out. Literally, I just wanted to hang out with someone that I knew. Now, one did apologize to me that they couldn't come down because of issues, and I understood that. Did I get upset with them? No. Matter of fact, I went to someone I knew who had pictures of what the friend that was going to come down to be there for. I managed to pull up pictures. And then I turned around and I looked at the comments for one. And one of my own family members, I'm not mentioning the person because it shocked me. It shocked me. And I apologize in the podcast part for the George Jetson thing. I didn't get a chance to mute everything fast enough because this was an impromptu podcast. But turned around and called the person I knew a tranny. Because she looked like a guy. And then another person started great. And I said, if you're talking about the one on the right, she's not a tranny. She's an actual female. And I've gotten to know her for a little bit. So I want to apologize to that person that's being put down and I shared their post on. And I feel very bad for the words that are being said. There's another one. Matter of fact, there's a Facebook group I belong to. Now, I'm a big Wonder Woman fan. And I won't lie. I have both Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984 on DVD sitting near my TV. Have I played them yet? No. Because I've already seen them. But there's a cosplayer in South America. Same name as Linda Carter. Except when she puts her name out, she puts her middle name in. So I shared that person's posts in this Facebook group. And there were people that were like, that's not Linda Carter. Actually, she is. Except her name is really Linda Carter, but it's Linda, middle name Carter. And she's a cosplayer. And I state that. And I feel bad for that person as much as I enjoy every post that she puts up. And she knows it. She knows it. She appreciates everything I say. Because I do my best never to be negative about anything. Does not matter. Negativity in words could hurt a person's feelings. You may not know that. I do. Because I know it from experience. I know it from experience. Because it's every day with me. I had a customer today call me a jackass. And yes, I'm not editing this. So any curse, do be advised of those that are listening that some language may be said, like just now. And was just literally cursing me out for something they did and wondering why this happened. And I'm getting cursed out for it. And you think I flipped? Yeah, I did. Do I regret flipping? Yeah, I did. But at the same time, I was being defensive. That's something I don't like to be. I don't like to be defensive. Now, I never cursed the person out. Never. At any time, I never curse a person out. As much as, and even my supervisor was like, take a little time if you need it, for this, because of this person. I said, no, I'm fine. And the rest of the day went, okay, I got through it. It was just a rough morning. No problem. I have that every day. Everybody has that every day. They'll have that rough spot patch where, you get pushed to the limits. I get that every day. If not working, personal wise. Does it hurt? Yeah. It does hurt. It does hurt. But it's how it's presented. It's how words are presented. So if anyone tells you, I love you, period, they love you so unconditionally and that they'll always be there for you when you need it. Now, I have another person I liked when I was younger, when we were younger. And I came across her and I was very happy. And we started talking, and one night out of the blue, she contacted me. And I was being there for that person, and trying to really show that person that I'm there. Does the person know it? Yeah, that person knows it. Because I turned around and I said, no matter what, I love you, period. And you know what that person actually turned around and said? I know you do. Now, the only person I wish I could say that to sometimes is me. Do I love myself? Not all the time. I really don't. Because of reasons beyond, I can't say reasons beyond my control. It's within me. Now everybody says, you gotta stop putting yourself down and this, and this. But it all comes back to when I was younger. It does. It all comes back down to when I was younger. Again, if I ever offended someone, I'm sorry. I truly am. Because that's not the person I try to be. I try to be the caring person. I try to be the supportive person. I try to do whatever possible to be there for that person. And yeah, you're going to have people in your life that's going to be like, you should. Well, guess what? I should have knocked them off my friends list. But if I did, I would have had a backlash. Why'd you do that? Why'd you kick me off your personal Facebook page? So I didn't. But they all know the unfriend door is always open. If you're not happy with what you say to people, then don't be a part of them. Now, I mean, I have someone who has stuck by me for a very long time. And I'm glad that person's in my life. Because if not, this wouldn't be happening. This would not be happening. Now, I don't know if I've said the story on this podcast before, but back in April 2012, I was being taken advantage of by someone to the point where I lost my apartment because of it. I fell so behind in rent that I was done. And if it wasn't for this person that's in my life right now, I wouldn't be here right now. They probably would have found my body in the Schuylkill River. Oh, yeah. I thought about it. But this person came into my mind and stopped me from wanting to take that risk and going over the South Street Bridge in Philadelphia into the Schuylkill. Am I glad? Yes. Because that person had faith in me to do better. Yeah, I lost the apartment. And I got into another one. And I wound up losing that one, but it wasn't because of me falling behind. It was because the person sold the building and wanted everybody out. So where I'm at right now, I've been here for 8 years, eight and a half years, coming up on 8.5 years. Yes, I've fallen behind, but I've caught up. And this has been better. But do I still have the feelings about hating myself? Yeah, I'm always going to have those feelings of hating myself. I will. Because of a lot of things that happened in my past. And if you think that it could change, yeah, it can. With a lot of therapy, which I am working on. Because I know my mental state's in jeopardy. I question my mental state almost every day. Even today, I was questioning it. I was ready to leave my job. Now, I had just before that, I was going to leave my job in about 2 weeks. But I turned around a couple days ago and I said, you know what? I'm going to take the resignation back. I'm going to stay. My supervisor, of course, was very happy about that. And that person was like, we know you're thinking very hard. And then this morning, one of the coaches, one of the other supervisors, I call, came up to me and literally said, I honestly know why you want to leave this place. And I applaud that person for saying that to me. But I also turned around and said, listen, I took it back. I'm still here. I'm staying for a little bit. But to hear that was great. Because someone's seeing me for within me. So that's actually 3 people that see me within me and who I am. Actually, there's others, but they don't see everything of me. They don't see everything of me. And that's because I don't show everything of me. Because there's parts I don't want to show everything of me. Would I like to? Yeah, I would. But I'd also be scared at the same time. So, literally, in conclusion, what I'm saying is watch what you say. Literally, watch what you say. Positive, negative, otherwise. If you're not going to say something really nice or be very negative to people, don't do it then. Because it's not worth it. It's not. Now, I might sound like Joel Osteen in preaching. All right. If you want to think that, think it. But that's your own judgment, too. That was a whole nother podcast I did, was judgment. I stopped judging people. I did. I stopped judging people. I do. But people still judge. And I've learned that the hard way, too. And you think that hurts? Oh, yeah. But always remember one thing. If you're going to say anything to anyone, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter if they're a family member, a dear friend, someone, your significant other, always say this: I love you, period. Because those are the most wonderful words to ever say. I love you, period. And that's what I say to you. No matter what. I love you, period. Means a lot. Those are words you can treasure. Negativity, you can't. And if you do treasure them, it's going to get you in the end. And I'm saying that from experience. Because I used to take it all in. I didn't have a filter back then. And I never had a filter now. So watch what words you say. Because if you do say the wrong words and you don't catch yourself right away, and all of a sudden you start losing respect from other people, you might see why. And you may realize what you've done. Believe me, I have. I really have. So I thank everybody that listens to this podcast and watches it on YouTube or goes to the lifewithjoeycalvo.blog website. I thank you for all that. To the podcast listeners that are listening to the podcast, again, I apologize for the interruption. This was an impromptu podcast, a very impromptu podcast. So I apologize for all the noises you heard, even in the YouTube. If you heard Jetson doorbell tones, for anybody that watched the Jetsons when they were little, that was their ringtone for the door when somebody's knocking on the door. I apologize to all of you for that. Like I said, this was an impromptu podcast. It really I just had to talk about it. So I thank you all for listening, watching. And my best suggestion is to share this video and this podcast with everybody. Because I love you, period, is the greatest word you may ever hear in your life. And it's very unconditional. Don't treat it like dirt. And thank you so much for watching and listening to the Joey Calvo, Life with Joey Calvo podcast. My name is Joey Calvo. God bless you all. Take care.